A bunch of RCAF members and the marketing committee and lots of my friends in the industry, we've been trying to up the ante, make a bigger ask for our policymakers, because the last 60 days it's been a little bit too quiet. There's been some talk of horse trading already going on in Washington, D.C., kind of dealing down. And I talked to one of the NCBA state affiliates a week ago and, asking them if they were still on board with 5014. And they said, absolutely. Do you want to make a public statement on that? Absolutely not. So those are just some of the things that we battle on. And before I forget, I wanted to echo something that the great Kerry Stadheim said just a little bit ago. But for those of you that know me well, you know why I'm here fighting. And if you see our family pictures out there, it'll help fill in the blanks. But I started going to Washington, D.C. 20 years ago with RCAF, and it still permeates there today. But I was picking up already on it then, that the staffers and even the members of Congress would say that no young people want to be involved in agriculture anymore. And that's totally false. They don't want to come back and do it for nothing, right? They if they can make some money, we will fill rural America again. And a good friend of mine, John Baker from Eastern Iowa, he and his friends have been preaching that we need 1 million more farmers. And he's right on, and we're tickled that an uncle of John's is here with us, and 1 million more farmers. So it's bunk what goes on behind the scenes from the large commodity organizations. They've I think been the ones that have been propagating the fact that no young people want to be involved, and they absolutely do. So really excited now to have, of course, mandatory COOL has always been a big priority for RCAF, and so, and of course, we continue to work on 5014, and I wanted to bring up John Shaben, our friend, our RCAF member who testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee recently, and of course, only a few of us got to see what Bill Bullard was doing behind the scenes and what RCAF was doing behind the scenes, but Bill shared questions, fact sheets with all the committee members and with Mr. Shaben ahead of time, and we'll see if we can get there we go. And basically, it's this slide, and my slides aren't updated. It's kind of fun. I've got slides that are 4 years old, so we've been telling the same story for 4 years, and ironically, everything just continues to go right in the direction that we've predicted that they would all along. But John Shaben told me that day easily, in questioning and in the interviews that he did with the press, it was the degradation of our share of the consumer food dollar was easily the hottest topic of that day in Washington, D.C. And it was Bill's comments that were forwarded behind the scenes that really drove that. And so I want to give Bill Bullard a round of applause right now for that. And John asked me to share that story. And so, of course, we're all spoiled with the great work that Bill is doing behind the scenes. But I want to give an update on the 4th of August. I was at the county fair and got a phone call from my marketing rep that works for Producers Livestock, one of our meal sponsors here. I wanted to get that little punch in of thank you. But Tyson had announced that day that they were full at their flagship Dakota City plant until the 7th of September and would be out of the market. All right, on a Wednesday. Same day, Tyson from Schuyler, Nebraska sent their buyer out, and they made an announcement that they were buying forward from that day on, half as many slaughter cattle for Schuyler, because an economist had told the Cargill execs that they needed to focus more on buying cattle from the state of Nebraska. And at the same time, a large livestock trucking firm from Carroll, Iowa, was in the process of hauling as many cattle as they could haul. It ended up being 4,000 head in 2 days from Dodge City, Kansas to Schuyler, Nebraska. All right, so I think somebody, the sale barn guys that were up here were asked about retribution, and I guarantee you there's a bunch of us in Iowa right now that feel like we've got a big bullseye on the middle of our shoulder blades. But those are just some of the things that go on that keep me going, fighting towards 5014. And we get comments all the time. Well, it won't be enough. It won't be enforceable, and we've never portrayed 5014 as a long-term total solution. It's a tourniquet, but boy, we need a tourniquet right now to stop the bleeding. And then maybe we can work on, there are 26 plants, large plants that the Big Four operate, and I think, maybe 26 owners of those 26 plants would end up being maybe a decent solution long term. So. But I really want to thank the marketing committee members. Dave Hyde out in Ohio has been a great addition since he's got on the board. He joins in all the time, and Brett is always terrible busy. And sometimes we hear maybe he's from talking to us from the payloader. Brett and I talk a lot, and he keeps me charged up because those of us in feedlot country, almost daily. And Max, I apologize for using an expletive, but I'll run into somebody that they tell me that they've lost the rest of their give-a-dams, that they're out of give-a-dams. And I really encourage everybody here, if obviously you know what I'm talking about if you're feeding slaughter cattle, but if you have some friends that do, help them out, encourage them. We've got some really good things happening. Help them, get some give-a-dams back because, we all need that. And that's why I've been excited for this meeting this week to help me get recharged on having the energy to go back and work on these things. And I tell you what, Senator Rounds just, he gave me pocketfuls of give-a-dams here, and which was outstanding. But that slide that I had up there just a little while ago, that one right there, if I can figure out how to go backwards, but was one of the most widely shared slides that consumer spread versus what we're receiving on social media this last year. It really spread like wildfire. Yeah, that one right there. And that's not even updated. And as I mentioned, everything continues versus what we've been saying for years. Things continue to go the direction that we've predicted. And so it's time, as Senator Rounds said, the trends aren't in our favor, and we've got to get things turned around. So with that, I know we've got some policy that the marketing committee has turned in, so I'm excited we'll move on to our business session and policy session here in a little bit. But I think I'm standing between you folks and a break, I believe, unless they've changed the schedule. But unless there are any questions that you have, keep leaning into 5014. Be calling your congressional delegation. Things are going to heat up now. They really are. And I think NCBA was hoping that with a quiet cattle con that a bunch of things we were just going to skid forward. But Colonel John Phillips called me today a little while ago. $1,243 a head today is the Packer margin number. So, which is, I think that's as high as it's ever been. And here we are 2 years since the Holcomb fire, and we're still there. So it's time to dig in our heels and get after it. And seeing no questions, thank you. And is it break time? I believe so. Nobody's going to tell me otherwise. So thank you.